Welcome to another very special Crawley Town edition of the Gull-Mouth Action podcast. I'm Matt Pole, and I'm joined by Reds writers Mark Dunford and Sam Morton. Crawley Town will play in League One after a 9-year absence next season, courtesy of their League Two playoff final win over Crewe. Goals from Danilo, Orsi and Liam Kelly earned the Reds a deserved 2-0 win over the Railwaymen at Wembley last weekend. We'll reflect on a historic day for Crawley and the 2023-24 season as a whole, and take a brief glimpse at the upcoming 2024-25 campaign. You can read all the stories we are talking about with videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. And you can check out other great videos on shotstv.com and Freeview channel 276. You may also be watching on latest TV, so thank you very much for tuning in. But as mentioned, the Reds have returned to the third tier of English football for the first time since 2015, thanks to their win over Crewe. And it was a thoroughly deserved win, wasn't it, Mark? Sum that performance up for us.
They were absolutely sensational. They were dominant from minute one. Scott Lindsay, as he has done for a lot of the season, just got his taxes completely right. I was with him yesterday when he met his 92-year-old fan Ron Spraggett, and he was explaining how they set up, because they knew Crewe were going to play with one striker. So they had Corey Adai effectively playing as a centre back pairing with Dion Conroy. And it just sort of nullified any kind of attack that Crewe had. I mean, they had their one moment that we'll talk about later, the penalty, Crewe. And I think Corey Adai made a really good save early in the first half from Elliot Nevitt, but that was it. Crawley were just all over them. Liam Kelly, as he did throughout the whole playoffs, ran the show. Danilo Orsi was as clinical as ever. Lovely finish. Dion Conroy, Will Wright, Lawrence Maguire, you could name them all. Everyone stood up and performed on that day. There was only, I think, the only one real mistake that was evident was Adam Campbell's pass that led to the incident with the penalty. But again, he was really good. It's just, they were just sensational, and to do it in front of that crowd as well. There's so many, the atmosphere was absolutely incredible. 18,000 Crawley fans before the game, after the game, during the game. It was just amazing. And you just felt as soon as you got there, it was Crawley's day. It was always going to happen. And yeah, it was like the game the day before, Oxford beating Bolton. It was just, they were just so dominant. I thought I had to get that in there, Matt. Oxford winning. Yeah, so it was just, they were just sensational, and it was emotional. I did tear up more than once during the day, even at the national anthem at the beginning. I was tearing up. So, but a wonderful occasion, an historic moment, and yeah, couldn't be more proud of what they achieved this year and how they performed.
Well, yes, you mentioned it there. Crewe thought they had a penalty after the break, but saw the decision overturned following a VAR check, which is in use in all the EFL player finals, after Christopher Long went down under a challenge from goalkeeper Corey Adai. And I know it might have been a heart-in-mouth moment, Sam, but I think on the whole it was the correct decision, I think.
Yeah, absolutely the correct decision. It was, literally the only heart-in-mouth moment really in the entire game. It was the closest that the Crewe came to scoring and to causing Crawley any problems. And that's a testament to how incredible Crawley were in the game and how they just completely nullified Crewe's threat entirely. But that moment was a bit worrying at the time, as Mark alluded to, with Adam Campbell playing a bit of a hospital pass back, and Christopher Long got on the end of it. He tried to take it round Corey Adai, who actually did an incredible job at narrowing the angle and made him basically cheat. He just dived over the goalkeeper's leg, who didn't touch him at all, and without VAR, it probably would have. It was given as a penalty. In any other League Two game in the season, Crawley would have had a penalty against them. But thankfully, it happened in the game that they had VAR, and it could take a look and show quite clearly that the keeper just didn't touch him. Adai didn't touch Long at all. So that was a real good use of VAR. And I kind of understand the argument that it probably is a little bit silly to use VAR in one game. You've not had a season in League Two. But Crawley will be mightily pleased that it was there to save that moment for them. But as I say, it was the only moment really of any concern for Crawley, and apart from that, they utterly dominated the game and were just so pleased. And it was just a joy to watch.
I was just going to say, Scott Lindsay said in his post-match that the referee gave it because he knew he had VAR to pull back on. If in a normal game, I don't think he would have given it. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
a good
think
point.
because he has. Yeah, it's like umpires in cricket, don't they? They sometimes they say not out because they think they got the review, or they give it out thinking, actually, I think it was umpire's call, but we'll see, sort of thing. And you can't blame the referee. I thought the referee was good on the day. I don't think there was any other particular shockers or anything. But yeah, I think Scott Lindsay was right after the game on that one.
It's just a relief that we're not talking about VAR, isn't it? We're just talking about a Crawley playoff final win as opposed to another litany of errors from VAR. But
yeah, absolutely.
Talking of Reds players, goal scorer Liam Kelly, who turned into a bit of a playoff Perlo, was absolutely superb against Crewe. How impressed were you by his performance, not just in the final, but across the season as a whole, Mark? He was, especially across those 3 games, what you told me, he was untouchable. He was superb.
First of all, I've got to congratulate you on playoff Perlo. I love it. He's been incredible all season, and I always remember when they signed him. I sat in the dugout with Scott Lindsay, I think, at Crawley Town after, I think it was their fixtures release day, and I asked him about him, and he just said he wanted him when he was at Swindon. He had a trial there, but it never really worked out. But he's just been incredible. And I mean, to get 3 man of the match performances for all 3 playoff games is just sensational. And he has just run the show. He just, I can't remember who it was who was saying it the other day. He said that, when the game needs slowing down, Liam Kelly slows it down. When it needs quickening up, he quickens it up. It all revolves around him, and he dictates the pace of the game. Everything, and he's just fantastic to watch. He's got such an engine on him, and he can score goals. It was it was a lot easier than it looked. Actually, the goal is his goal at Wembley. At first, I thought, that was a tight angle, and actually, no, he had an open goal just to siphon it home into. But yeah, he's brilliant, and boy, I know we're getting onto it. He can sing as well, and I think he can drink as well.
Yes, we are going to come on to that, and I didn't know whether it was live him saying if he liked to drink or not. But from what I've seen, he certainly enjoyed himself after the final. Before we move on to that, post-match, Crawley boss Scott Lindsay said he always felt his side could win promotion to League One. Despite them being tipped for relegation at the start of the season. That's obviously been very well documented, isn't it, Sam, about the pundits' predictions for Crawley. But that aside, Lindsay really has worked miracles at the Reds, hasn't he, this season? And it's just, again, crazy he's not been on the shortlist for manager of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. It beggars belief why he wasn't shortlisted. Not even shortlisted, and he would have been the outright deserving winner, really. As you say, just everyone was expecting Crawley to struggle this season. Maybe, obviously, we didn't necessarily think they'd go down, but we definitely think that they would have been as high up the table. And even the players, I think Liam Kelly in his immediate post-match interview was asked, could he have foreseen this coming? And he said, obviously, didn't expect this. I think they're all confident they wouldn't go down, but they knew there was something about them. I think Ronan Darcy told me that it was about 10 games in where they noticed they had something special going on, and the chemistry was building, and you could just feel like something was special was happening. But as we've said all season, Scott has just remained steadfast in his belief of they can finish in the playoffs all season, no matter any result. If they had a bad result, it didn't change his opinion at all, and there was only one destination they were heading for all season, and he proved himself right, and proved lots of people wrong that thought they would go down, really. And it is incredible the job that he's done, and he deserves the keys to the town. I think he'll build his statue anywhere he wants.
As Mark kind of alluded to, the Reds then held a promotion party at Broadfield Stadium on Monday, and it's safe to say the Reds players enjoyed themselves, didn't they, Mark? How raucous were the celebrations?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was so good. I mean, I sensed when I was in the box park straight after the game, when the players came in full kit, medals on, drinking, that it was going to be a long, heavy night for them. And it was great that they were able to have the promotion party. I don't think the Crawley players had much sleep between them. Apparently, they demanded the coach take them to Goff's Manor pub on the way back from before the promotion party, and then the coach had to go back to pick them up. And straight away they were there outside the ground signing autographs, having photos with all the fans who were waiting outside to go into the promotion party. And then it was a really nice occasion because went out in the middle of the pitch and out from the tunnel one by one. The backroom staff came, all the club staff who have helped keep the club running, who they couldn't have done what they've done without them this year. And then one by one, the players came out, and Liam Kelly, because he wears number 4, he came out 4th, but they're all 3rd, whatever it was. And then he demanded to take over control of the emceeing, and it was hilarious. He had a little thing to say about each player as they came out, and it was really, really good fun. A couple of times the language got a bit fruity, but considering there was quite a lot of families and young people in the crowd, but it was amazing. But what impressed me most was how much time they spent with the fans, because I mean, Corey or die, it must have taken them an hour and a half, 2 hours to get round, because they were lining 3 sides of the pitch, the fans, and they literally went round one by one and signed everything, and it was amazing to watch. And because they'd had long nights, they deserve a rest, but they just wanted to celebrate with the fans, and it was incredible. They did a lovely rendition of Adele's "Someone Like You," which you can see on my Twitter, or my X, sorry. And it was just a really, really good night, and it was great that they were able to do that at the Broadfield Stadium. Memories that a lot of people will have of very drunken players with sunglasses on at 9 o'clock at night. Fantastic.
And a few sore heads in the morning, no doubt. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to reflect on the season just gone and look ahead to the upcoming League One campaign. The curtain has now come down on a League Two campaign to remember for the Reds. But with that in mind, what has been your Crawley moment of the season, player for side, and why? You've got 2 minutes each to state your case. I'm going to start with you, Sam Morton.
I think it's got to be the 4-0 win at Mansfield. I think it's got to be that one. I think that was the moment that I think we all realised that something special was happening here. I think Mansfield were going for automatic promotion. Just coming to that squeaky bum time moment of the season, I think, where every point really mattered. I think after that they had the Wrexham game, and we looked at those 2 games thinking maybe a couple of points would be brilliant, and they started off just with a cruising win at Mansfield. Really, I know they weren't in the best of form at the time, but it really did put down a marker and a statement about where they were going to go. And I know the form kind of dipped after that. A little bit, obviously, with the Wrexham game, and obviously they really struggled to pick up the wins for those few weeks, and it did leave us fearing whether they would obviously not get into the playoffs, especially after that Sutton game. But I think just the way in which they won at Mansfield, and obviously it ended up being so crucial at the end of the season as well, in doing that and make sure they got that victory. And I think that was the moment that I realised something special was happening, where I was really confident that they would get into the playoffs. So I think that's my moment of the season, I think.
Good choice. What about yourself, Mr. Dunford?
Well, it was because we're running a piece next week with a load of fans about their moments of the season and that. And with what Sam said, that came up a couple of times, that Mansfield game, obviously following the Newport game when they won 4-0 at Newport as well. But mine, and nobody's mentioned this, is when they beat Notts County at home 2-1. It was, and specifically Adi Adiemo's goal, because they were losing that 1-0 and it was getting to the 80th minute, and it was just like Notts County weren't on a good run at the time, and obviously we know Notts County just dropped like a stone down the table. And Notts County had a player sent off, and it just really lifted them. Scott Lindsay brought on Adeyemo. Lolos scored first, and then Adeyemo from the edge of the area fired one home, his first goal for the club. And the celebrations, I mean, going back to the team that played at Wembley, 9 of them were playing in non-league last year. Adeyemo was one of them, playing for Crewe Paper Mills, Paper Valley Mills. Well, what are they called? Crewe Valley Paper Mills.
Crewe Valley Paper Mills.
I don't want to disrespect them. I apologise, because I know they had a good run in the FA Cup this year. But and it was just, and the atmosphere that night when they beat Notts County was just incredible. And I just thought that was a real turning point, because it looked like they were dead. They couldn't find a way back. But then the player got sent off and the crowd lifted, and it was just a real moment when he scored. And obviously those 3 points proved vital in the end as well. So that's my pick, just for the atmosphere and for seeing Adeyemo celebrate as well his first goal for the club. Such a young talented player.
And who would you name as your Crawley Player of the Season and why? Mark, I know that we've already handed out a Crawley Observer Player of the Season, and I think it went to Will Wright. Is that correct? Is that you sticking by that choice?
I think I am, for just consistent. I mean, if I exclude the playoffs, because Liam Kelly, I think, would be the obvious choice. Yeah. And for good reason as well. And you look at the achievements of Danilo Orsi this year. 25 plus goals, incredible, and scoring 4 goals in those 3 playoff games. But yeah, Will Wright for me, just so consistent. I think he played more league games possibly than anyone else, or certainly started more league games than anyone else. And he's just been fantastic. He scored 4 really good goals. 3 of them were shortlisted for goal of the season. He's provided 5 or 6 assists, I think, as well throughout the season. And and you meet him off the pitch, and he's just one of the nicest blokes as well. I mean, they all are, this whole team. I mean, on Monday night, yes, they were all a bit worse for wear, but they had time for everybody. And actually, Will Wright, I had a photo taken with him and Lawrence Maguire, and I said, "Oh yeah, you remember your Crawley Observer Player of the Year?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm really grateful for that, thank you." And he was just so nice, and yeah, because I mean, yeah, players aren't in it for awards, are they? Well, some of them aren't. Ronaldo might be. But I just think he's just been so consistent, and I think when we first announced that we gave him, there was one fan that replied and said he's a Rolls Royce of a player, and he really is. He's absolute class, never lets you down, and he's got a hell of a shot and a cross on him. So that was Will Wright. I just think he's been fantastic, and I've got to mention Corey Adai as well, because for improvement, and then suddenly he's the best keeper in League 2. He stopped more goals than goal chances than anyone else. His touch in that first leg of the semi-final, incredible. He seems to be a real fan's favourite now, Corey Adai. But yeah, Will Wright. I'm sticking with Will Wright.
And what about yourself, Mr. Morton? Who's your Crawley Player of the Season? It's a tough one to choose, I think, by the sound of it.
Yeah, tough one to choose. I think you can pretty much name any player in the team. They've all been absolutely superb all season. But I can't look past Liam Kelly as my player of the season. I think I would have said that before the playoffs, but the playoffs just fully cemented it and added lots more arguments to it. He was just phenomenal, to be honest. I think I remember a stage of the season where he wasn't there and he was so thoroughly missed, and it lacked that little bit of kind of intricacy, I guess, in the midfield, and it's just top class, really. I think because he just comes into that midfield, obviously in the playoffs, and plays like he's at least a championship level player. I think he's even can go far as the championship, let alone League One, to be honest. Because he is class player, and just the passing that he is able to he starts all the moves at the end of the day. Even the Orsi goal, it was a lovely little chest control, played a lovely little pass into Orsi, and they've had a brilliant connection. And obviously he's got a great strike on him, and obviously didn't need to do anything spectacular for his goal, but he's obviously just there at the right time. He was there to be on the end of the pass from Conroy, and obviously he tried to get the ball back to Orsi, and he was alert to put it into the empty net straight away, and it was the least he deserved, really, for incredible few performances that rightly earned him 3 man of the matches in a row. And it was great to speak to him in the mix zone after the game at Wembley as well, and you could see how level-headed he is. He wasn't overly excited or whatever, because as he was speaking, some of his teammates were walking past him, kind of bigging him up, saying about how good of a player he is, how much they love him, kind of thing. They're obviously all really giddy, but he was kind of still very level-headed, focused on the interview, kind of thing. And then obviously he went off and got a little bit drunk and saw a different side to him. So, but yeah, I think I can't look past him as my player of the season. I think just phenomenal performances, especially in the playoffs.
All correct choices, I think. We're looking ahead to next season at League One. We'll bring a whole new set of challenges for the Reds, with the likes of Charlton, Reading and Wigan set to visit the Broadfield Stadium. But in terms of squad building, Mark, where do we think that Crawley will need to strengthen in the off-season?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I think, because we're due to have the retained release list today. So it'll be interesting, because that will obviously guide where we think that they need strengthening. But if they can keep the core, it's just a case of strengthening in each department, I think, and just making the squad much stronger and deeper. defensively wise, because we know Dion Conrad has had injury issues. And when he goes out, I mean, Harry Ransom did a good job when he did, when Dion was, and Joy McKenna as well. But again, Joy McKenna is another one of those players that was playing non-league last year. Whether they can step up that extra level now to League One, who knows? So I think possibly a little bit more experience in the defensive area. Midfield wise, I mean, you've got Jay Williams and Liam Kelly. I've no doubt that they can be the two pivots again next year in League One. Maybe attacking. Sorry, my phone is going. Maybe in the attacking areas, sort of attacking midfield. You've got Clyde Lolos. Adam Campbell's done a good job this year. Ronan Darcy's really good. Is very adaptable. But maybe just another extra. But we need the main. I think the main thing is getting back up for Danilo Orsi, because he played. I think did he start every game this year? He must have done. How he did it. If he'd got an injury, who knows what would have happened with Crawley Town. I think that's the main point. I think they need to get someone to back up Danilo Orsi next season.
We've mentioned some of the teams there, Sam, like Charlton, Reading and Wigan, but you've also got the likes of Huddersfield, Peterborough, Bolton, Barnsley. Which games are you looking forward to the most next season in League One? And looking at that league, there's a whole load of former Premier League clubs in that one. So it's going to be a tough old test for Crawley, isn't it?
Yeah, real tough test. And it's what you want, though, isn't it? It's what you want to go to some really historic clubs. With so much kind of history and everything. I think it's really exciting for Crawley actually to be able to be involved in that and in a really tough league, which will really test them. And there's so many that you can kind of look to. It's big games to look forward to. Obviously, Charlton's a big good one. Not too far to travel, obviously, for that one, because there are some long distances they've got to go this season. But even teams like Birmingham and come down from the Championship and Bolton, as you say, obviously there. I think it's just so exciting, really, to be part of that, and I really hope they can get. Obviously, I think being in League One will hopefully attract more players to the club, and obviously more quality as well. So I think just even keep hold of as many players as possible, and just add to it, and then it can, as Mark just mentioned, get another striker in to back up Orsi, and have a little bit of depth as well. I think that's going to be vital, because obviously there's 4 teams coming down from League One. Is going to make it even more of a challenge for Crawley to stay there for another season, or obviously even better and try and go for the playoffs again. You never know.
Absolutely, and I know this is very premature, but I'm going to ask you both your early League One predictions, and this is obviously without Crawley strengthening. But as of now, Mark, where do you see Crawley finishing?
I'm going to say playoffs, just because I don't want to upset Scott Lindsay. But I mean, it'll be a hell of an achievement if they got there. But I think mid-table, just above mid-table. I think they'll win more games than they lose next year.
Do you agree with that, Sam?
Yeah, I agree. I think playoffs might be a little bit of a stretch depending on who they bring in. But I'll say mid-table. I think there'll be a solid League One team. And the football they've been playing this season, League Two, and in the playoffs, I think they'll be more than okay in League One. I think they really will make it their own and have a solid, positive season they can hopefully build on.
Absolutely. Well, either way, it's been a fantastic achievement from Crawley Town, and we'd like to congratulate them again on their playoff final success. You can catch up with all the latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk/sport, and you can watch more excellent videos on shotstv.com and Freeview channel 276. Thank you very much for listening or watching, and we will see you when we see you.